Ford is knee-deep in troubled waters as it braces for another massive recall. With a loss of millions predicted and angry customers lining up, it's not looking good for the legacy automaker. Is this the end for the company? What's Ford's plan? Stay tuned for the shocking truth. Recalls have plagued the automobile industry for a long time now, but it seems like the situation is getting worse for Ford. On May 30th, the motor company announced the recall of over 142,000 Lincoln MKC SUVs in the United States. At the same time, the company advised customers to park outdoors and away from buildings. The recall comes after a surge in reports of hood fires. There have been 19 so far, including 7 since December. 11 of these reports came from the United States, 1 in Canada, and then 7 from China. Thankfully, there has been no reports of injuries in any of these incidents. Ford first took note of the situation in March, according to the recall documents submitted to the National Highway Traffic Safety Commission. An investigation was carried out and the car maker learned that in all of the cases, the fires happened when the engine was turned off and the vehicle were parked. The cause of these fires remain unknown at the moment, but the Michigan-based manufacturer believes that the issue is somewhere near the 12-volt batteries. It's likely that a short circuit of the MKC's battery monitor sensor overheated all the other parts. The automaker also said that the sensor is susceptible to damage during the repair of the car's electrical parts. The issue affects 1% of the MKCs on the road for the model years 2015 to 2019. Ford realizes the gravity of the situation and has assured consumers that it's working around the clock to solve the issue. According to reports, the company already has fixed for the issue. It'll be adding a fuse line to the battery monitor to prevent fires in the future. The automaker has already sent out the necessary instructions to Ford and Lincoln. What's more, the legacy automaker will be sending out letters to the MKC owners by June 26 with instructions to take their cars to dealerships for repairs. Ford fully plans on covering the cost of these repairs. Consumers can submit their receipts until November 30th to receive compensation. However, this is hardly the company's first recall in 2023. Earlier in May, the number 2 car seller in the States had to recall 176,000 of its Ford Bronco SUVs. Apparently, the National Highway Traffic Safety Commission carried out an investigation and found that the front seat passengers and drivers might have difficulty reaching the metal portion of their belt, specifically when it's in the retracted position. The federal safety regulator concluded that this might discourage drivers from using a seatbelt and might increase the risk of injury in a crash, and so Ford has asked for a recall of the Bronco SUVs from model years 2021 to 2023, specifically for the 5-door version. Ford was asked to comment, but the company only clarified that the problem exists in a certain position. The company further explained that the issue can be solved easily by a sliding clip latch or a Barrett clip on the belt. This way, the belt can stay in its standard position, one where it's easily accessible and does not cause problems. Surprisingly, earlier in April 2023, Ford had to make yet another recall. According to reports, 1,400 trucks left the factory with loose wheels. The issue was traced to a machine malfunction that led to improper torquing of the driver's side lug nuts. This lines up with Ford's reports about the shutdown of its machine that torques the nuts on the left side of the cars as its plants in Dearborn in February 2023. The company tried to combat the issue by implementing a backup process to keep the production running. However, Ford later found out that the process didn't work as efficiently as they expected. The legacy automakers estimated that the issue could potentially affect 422 Rangers and 992 Broncos. The loose nuts could have potentially led to wheels flying off the trucks. In fact, the automaker did receive 2 reports of a customer's wheels falling off and 1 warranty report of loose lug nuts. Thankfully, there has been no reports of injuries, even though one loosened wheel made contact with another car during one incident. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Ford chose to act quickly and put out the announcement for the recall. It also sent instructions out to consumers so that the customers with a torque wrench can fix the issues themselves at home. Customers who do not order torque wrench can reach out to the company's mobile repair team to fix the issue. However, until the wheels are tightened, the company has advised consumers not to drive their cars. From the looks of things, it's clear that Ford has quality problems and that it needs to address these problems almost immediately before the company starts taking serious financial hits. In 2022, Ford Motors suffered a loss of $2.2 billion with $4.17 billion on warranty claims alone. Almost all of the company's vehicle launches in the past few years have been plagued by quality issues and recalls. Fortunately, Ford CEO Jim Farley on the front line, who is planning to approach the issue from multiple angles. For starters, Ford will be introducing more quality inspectors and cameras for more thorough inspections. This will allow the automaker to root out any problems before putting the vehicle on the road. Ford plants in Kentucky has taken a new approach to the problem. The plant manager Joseph Corruzzo made the wise decision to stop production 3 days earlier than when Ford usually does. The extra time allowed engineers and suppliers to work on the defective parts that were discovered during the production of the company's highest profitable heavy-duty pickups. "We should shut the building down if we weren't meeting one of the targets," is what Corruzzo said on the plant floor. The Kentucky plant is also taking a new approach to testing its vehicles. Before, Ford was in the practice of testing a small sample of trucks to root out any issues, but that's changed now. Kentucky plant tasks its workers to take 28,000 of its first new generation Super Duties on a 25-mile drive near the factory. Their job was to make sure everything works smoothly, down to the engine to the infotainment system. Ford plans to implement the quality lessons learned here at other plants soon enough. The factory is already seeing the results with 2 lines running at full production, churning out fleets of trucks and SUVs in record time. Farley has also said that Ford's complexity might be part of the problem. The CEO said that the company has a lot of complexity relative to the customer and also inside the company. Where they can address the customer-facing complexity, the problems on the inside will need time. Ford will have to address everything from the parts to the manufacturing line, and it takes time to work through that. Right now, the company is focusing on remaking itself by cutting costs and shifting its focus to software and services. The American manufacturer also has plans to reduce the number of parts in its vehicles. However, Ford has not revealed what other steps it plans to take. But Farley did clarify that the one thing the company won't be doing is cutting jobs, which is shocking because that's what automakers have been doing for a very long time. But Farley doesn't want to make short-term changes. No, the CEO is thinking big and is planning to redesign the work in a sustainable way. There have been concerns regarding the CEO automaker losing sales because of the measures to cut costs, but Farley does not seem too worried. In fact, he thinks that separating the EV and internal combustion engine vehicle operations ought to solve the problem. What's more, the company will be radically simplifying its second generation of EVs. Ford believes that with this move, they'll be able to guarantee higher margins and fewer issues. Farley is also taking notes from his competitions. After analyzing its performance, Ford will no longer be introducing batteries that are too big or spend too much on advertising. The Michigan manufacturer will also be working on reducing distribution costs. When Farley first took charge of the CEO position in October 2020, he vowed to take the company to new heights in the EV business. Given the recent recalls, it might be hard for analysts and consumers to see, but Jim has put in the effort. It's why Ford is number 2 in EV sales in the United States. While the company has a long way to go before it can catch up with Tesla, the legacy manufacturer is hard at work to root out its issues. After the company is ramping up EV production, at the end of 2022, Ford will be producing 12,000 EVs a month, but this year the company might end with 50,000 EVs per month. That's all for today. Until next time.